Hey everybody, Mr. Gill here. Welcome to your last day of Earth Science before a much needed and deserved spring break. A couple things before we get started. First, big shout out to everybody who was working hard last week. Myself and Mr. T were really impressed with that work you turned in. So well done, everybody. Second is since remote learning is new to everybody, us teachers included, we want to make sure that we're doing the best we can. So we would appreciate some of your feedback about how earth science has been going. So things that are going well, we can keep doing, and things that are not working out, we can do less. So if you could please fill out this survey, myself and Mr. T will take your answers and use it to make adjustments for when we come back. All right, so today we are going to continue investigating and exploring the path of the sun. So we're going to be reusing that simulation we did last week, except I'm going to be showing you some new cool stuff you can do with it. So let's get started. All right, everybody, let's take a look at some of the other cool things this simulation can do. So first, we're going to look at location. You may have noticed that the default location is somewhere in the middle of England. We don't really care about England. We care about New York City. So we want to change it to New York City. So you may have remembered you can slide longitude and latitude here to change location, but there's an even better way to do it. And for that, we're going to click on this button right here that opens up this geographic location menu. And you'll see here you can type in a latitude and longitude, and it'll automatically take you to that exact spot. So we need to find what is the latitude and longitude of New York City. I don't know that off the top of my head, so how could we figure it out? Yeah, we're on a computer. We can just look it up on Google. So just go on over to Google, type in New York City coordinates, and you'll see it's already popping up, and we get it right there. So so that word coordinates is just talking about where is the location using longitude and latitude. And you'll see our latitude is right there because that's north. That's how we know it's latitude. And we know our longitude is right there because it's west. So we know that is longitude. Now we can round to the nearest tenth to make this easier. So our latitude is 40.7 degrees north, and our latitude is 74.0 degrees west. So let's go back to our simulation. So for latitude, let's type in 40.7 and we hit enter. And you'll see that automatically changed our latitude over there. And our longitude again was 74. But remember, this one doesn't use east and west. It uses positive and negative. So a western location is going to be a negative longitude. So I'm going to do negative 74, hit enter, and you'll see, right now we're in New York City. You can even zoom in a little bit to get a better idea, and you can clearly see that's where we should be. All right, so now that we're in New York City, we're not going to move around anymore. We want to look at how changing days throughout the year is going to affect our path of the sun. And so specifically to kind of read more information about the path of the sun, we're going to look at this solar information part. So in New York City, on March 21st at 10:30 a.m., this is what's going on with the sun. So anytime you have two numbers with a slash, that's just saying this thing is the first number, that thing is the second number. So for these, AZI, ignore that. We're not going to worry about that one. ALT, that is the angle of insolation. So this second number here, 44.12 degrees, that is the angle of insolation in New York City at 10:30 a.m. on March 21st. So obviously if we were to change these, that's going to change too. Rise and set is what time the sun rises and what time the sun sets. Remember, this is military time. So 1808 is not a time we're used to saying. To convert it to a regular time, subtract 12. 1808 minus 12 is 608. So that is 6:08 p.m. That's just normal. That's 5:59 a.m. So that's when the sun rose. That's when the sun set that day. And daylight is how long was the sun out? How many hours of daylight did we get that day? So on March 21st, the sun was up for 12 hours and 9 minutes. All right, but that was a few weeks ago. Let's see how it is today. So here's how you can change specific days a little more easily. You go up here to this little calendar button, and you'll get this date and time menu. So to change the day, you can click these little arrows, and you'll see that changes the day. You can click the big arrows, and you'll see that changes the month. Or you can just type in what you want. So today is April 7th. So you can just type in 07 and APR, hit enter, and it automatically sets us to April 20th. All right. And so then if we wanted to see what's going on with the sun on April 20th, you'll see this information changed. So compared to March 21st, which was the previous day, is our angle of insolation on April 7th higher or lower? Yeah, it's higher. It went up to 50.64 degrees. And then what about our amount of daylight? Is the amount of daylight, or the number of hours the sun is out, more or less or the same today compared to March 21st? Yeah, the day is even longer. We almost have 13 hours of sunlight on April 7th. We had a little bit less on March 21st. All right, so last thing, before I leave it to you to explore, is to go back to our date and time menu. These useful dates and useful times are special times where the sun is doing something that it doesn't always do. So useful dates are these four right here. These are in the last part of your assignment, is asking about these four things. I'm not going to tell you why these days are important, but if you click on one, like say the autumn equinox, and if you play around with the simulation, you should be able to notice something special about that day. Likewise for all the other ones. And then for useful times is very similar. These are times of the day when the sun is doing something special. The only ones you need to worry about are these four in the middle: sunrise, local noon, solar noon, and sunset. And just like you'd expect, if you click on sunset, it moves the sun over to sunset. And we can see that's our data for the sun right then. All right, that's all the new stuff. Let's wrap up and give you time to explore. All right, everybody, that wraps up our last day of Earth Science. So go to Google Classroom, finish up the assignment, let myself and Mr. T know if you got any questions. I also added the information from today onto that simulation information sheet, so you can always check there if you want to double check on anything. All right, so last thing before we go into spring break, we're all going to probably have a lot of free time on our hands, and Netflix has been a great ally for me, and I'm sure many of you, to kill time these last few days. So I'm going to give you my top 3 recommendations to check out if you got time to kill on Netflix. Number 1, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, maybe my favorite movie of all time. If you want to laugh, see some really cool visuals, and be surprised if you've never seen it before, a lot of unexpected twists and turns, definitely check it out. Number 2, if you're in for a more longer drama, check out Breaking Bad. This is probably my favorite TV show ever. It's all about a high school teacher who, when he gets diagnosed with cancer, in order to pay his bills, goes from being mild-mannered teacher into Scarface. Check it out. And number 3, if you're stressed out, you just want to relax, take it easy, I cannot recommend enough the Great British Bake Off. It's just people baking cakes, super relaxing. Or I mentioned him the other day, Bob Ross, paints pictures, super relaxing. Check it out. But since I'm going to have time to kill, I'd love to know your recommendations too. What do you recommend checking out on Netflix or Hulu or any of those other things? All right, and last bonus trivia question before spring break. I've been standing behind this poster from another one of my favorite shows. This is the Ron Swanson Pyramid of Greatness. What TV show is that from? All right. Have a good break, everybody. See you later.